Hello everyone, good afternoon. We're the University of Wyoming and today we'll be presenting to you our hold recommendation of Advanced Energy Industries as trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker AEIS. Throughout today's presentation, we'll be giving you the company's current structure and potential outlook while taking special consideration into the recent Artisan Embedded Power acquisition, its competitive positioning, and industry cyclicality with special focus into its profitability and investment risks. I'm Bailey Schramm.
I'm Nolan Beal.
I'm Gary Kuski.
I'm Theodore Olson.
And I'm Dakota Price. Thank you so much, Bailey. So although AEIS is undervalued relative to its peers, cash flow suggests an intrinsic stock price of $71.32, which represents about a 7.4% downside potential as of today. Most of the considerations that we factored in when when choosing a hold recommendation are as follows. First, cost synergies and expected revenue growth from acquisitions. Second, expected growth in OEM and wafer fabrication industries. And third, high demand for semiconductor energy components. Now, while we think that AEIS is, we believe investors can find value in AEIS mainly because of their high operating leverage and their low net debt capital structure. However, because of a recent surge in company valuation, we believe that there is diminished potential upside, and for this reason, we are confident in our hold rating. So to begin, AEIS is a global precision power product supplier, and historically, most of their revenues have come from first North America, second Asia, and third Europe. So given their recent Artisan acquisition in September 2019, AEIS has focused their product portfolio first on embedded power and second, advanced power income, and as well as reclassified their segmentation to include semiconductor equipment, telecom and networking, data center computing, and industrial and medical. And moving forward, AEIS management has prioritized specifically debt paydown as one of their main management goals. And given their low net debt capital structure, as previously mentioned, we believe strategic acquisitions should be the main priority of AEIS moving forward, followed by research and development spending, and finally, Artisan's integration. And acquisitions and integration of acquisitions are going to be integral for AEIS going forward, mostly because not only do they plan on growing their revenue, but diversifying in both new and adjacent markets, as well as through organic and acquisition-related opportunities. I'll hand the rest of my discussion over to my teammate Theo. Thank you.
Thanks, Dakota. Moving on to the industry overview. Looking back over the past couple of years for the semiconductor industry, their sales have been somewhat sluggish. We attribute this partially to the geopolitical tension between the US and China, as well as a strong US dollar. And on top of that, the Chinese market has been relatively soft. However, we are more optimistic about the future and the outlook for the industry. In part because trade tension seems to be easing. In part also because we believe semiconductors will play a key part in some very important innovations in the coming decades, such as AI, as well as the 5G network expansion. And also because the industry, the wafer fabrication and semiconductor equipment industry, is somewhat fragmented, and we believe there are opportunities for acquisition, especially for companies such as AIS, to take advantage of this. Now moving on to the competitive position. Because there's so many patents required and such a high cost to set up manufacturing facilities for these products, barriers to entry are relatively high. On top of that, for very similar reasons, there's not that many rivals in the space either. Because the product is so specialized, buyers don't have a whole lot of bargaining power over advanced energy. On the flip side, because advanced energy works in such a niche market, they don't have a whole lot of bargaining power over their own suppliers either. But overall, we're pretty optimistic about their competitive position. Here's just a very quick overview of some of the more notable acquisitions in the past couple of years. In particular, I want to make note of Artisan, which Garrett will talk about in a couple of moments, as one that's very important for the business. Thank you.
Thanks, Theo. I'd like to provide a brief overview of the company's financial health relative to its industry peers. They maintain a similar liquidity position, which is exhibited in the current and quick ratios. However, they do struggle with turning over their inventory and their accounts receivables, and they do retain a high accounts payable turnover. This is reflected in the cash conversion cycle, approximately 303 days, which can be attributed to the Artisan acquisition, in which they absorbed large amounts of receivables, inventory, and payables. Here's a visualization of the previous slide. As you can see on the right there, the cash conversion cycle is almost doubling some of their peers. The next thing that I'd like to bring to your attention is the earnings accretion and revenue growth opportunities presented by the acquisition of Artisan. First, the acquisition provided initial earnings accretion of 40 cents per share for revenue up from net income contributions of 1.2 million and cost synergies estimated at 20 million. Second, with a cost of equity at 10.60% and an estimated return on invested capital of 18%, investors can expect a positive net return on invested capital from the firm. Third, revenue synergy opportunities estimated at 870 million, and serviceable available markets are made available to the firm through the Artisan acquisition, and those serviceable available markets include semiconductor equipment and wafer fabrication power supply markets.
Thank you, Garrett. Moving on to the valuation itself, we use a discounted cash flow method to derive a fair market value for Advanced Energy. While we did perform a comparables analysis in addition to this discounted cash flow to help inform our overall methodology, we did not include that in our final valuation figure. Looking at the graphic on the left there, that upward sloping line indicates our estimated nominal annual cash flows in millions for the next 10 years from Advanced Energy. And then that slightly downward sloping line there represents those same cash flows but discounted over the same period. We also included a terminal cash flow, which was derived by taking that 2029 cash flow figure and dividing it by our estimated terminal capitalization rate, which was then discounted. This left us with a final share price estimate of just over $71. Moving on to assumptions that we made in arriving at this figure, including the cost of equity, which was derived using a simple capital asset pricing model, assuming a 2-year weekly beta of 1.26. I'd also like to draw your attention especially to the very low cost of debt. This is taken directly from the notes issued to acquire Artisan. This forced us to focus more on cost of equity in favor of a weighted average cost of capital, as we felt that the weighted average did not adequately reflect the price risk inherent to this investment. Now I'm going to turn it over to Bailey, who will discuss some of the risks associated with the investment.
Alrighty guys, so just to finish up, we'd like to touch on some of the risks associated with such an investment into Advanced Energy. We've laid out this matrix in a way to sort of rank the risks that we've identified and make them a little more meaningful to our analysis. So just to lay it out, on the x-axis we have probability of the risk occurring from low to high, and then on the y-axis we have the impact on the company ranked from low to high as well. So in the uppermost right-hand corner in the bright red, you'll find those risks that we deemed the most risky to the business and therefore the investment, and those closest to the origin, like N1 and F1, are natural event risk and foreign exchange risk, just cost of doing business and almost negligible in our analysis. So briefly, I'd like to touch on those we deemed the most important to our analysis, beginning with N1, which is end market risk and cyclicality. So just strictly based in the nature of the semiconductor industry in which Advanced Energy does business, this is the biggest risk to the firm and then therefore the investment. Unfortunately, Advanced Energy does not hold power over the cycles that have historically taken hold of the industry, but rather they must ride the highs and lows of such cycles, as do their customers. Its cyclicality means that changes in customer demand are both likely and unpredictable. This moves us on to the next risk we'd like to highlight, which is S2, or end customer-driven demand. The manufacturing and services industries for semiconductors are in a constant state of technological flux. This has been seen most recently as the major chip makers transition from 10 nanometer transistors to 7 and now onto the 5 nanometer generations. Because of this, and as a manufacturer of the input parts to the manufacturing industry for semiconductors, Advanced Energy must continually adapt their own products and innovations in a way that they can remain relevant to their customers and meet their product specifications, and just overall to remain relevant in the industry. Lastly, we'd like to touch on the recent occurrence in China with the COVID-19 outbreak. We're not quite sure what sort of impact this will have on the company yet, but we are certain that any such risks will be short to midterm and will be flushed out in the next cycle. Thank you.
And at this time, we'll have questions. Thank you.
I guess just in your DCF analysis, like how did you think about cyclicality of the business, and also if there was any underlying assumptions on kind of growth by market, and how you guys thought about that?
Well, actually, we will bring you to one of our appendix slides here. We believe that most of the, I believe you're referring to the volatility of the stock in relation to the market. We believe that was relatively reflected by the data that we included. Again, it's a capital asset pricing model. As far as the growth of the revenue, whether that's what you're referring to the end market, we assumed both a 7% market return going forward and a 7% cash flow from operations growth.
Yeah, I was also asking how you thought about revenue growth for AE specifically, and how you got to those numbers.
Oh, how we got to 7%? We just took historical figure. I mean, we tried to be more conservative in our valuation. That was the purpose there.
Just to give a little bit of input on that as well, we believe it follows their end markets customers very closely as well. So you can move on to the next appendix slide.